Okay, we should probably get started. The first thing I'm going to do, because otherwise I'll forget, is remind the graduate students for whom this is a course that there is a sign-up sheet in the back. Is it next to where Robin is up there? Or it's back on the back table. And so that in order to record your attendance to this, you need to make sure and sign that before you leave, okay? It's really cool to see so many people here. Thank you all for taking the time. My name is Brian Saam. I am the chair of your department. And I am privileged to be the chair of your department and to spend a little time this afternoon just telling you a little bit about where we are and where we're going. Now, I put this thing up here for a reason so that people could kind of stare at it and wonder what the heck I was talking about. Some of this stuff is actually happening. A few things that are more aspirational, all right, like REU and the new building, more aspirational, not really, not there yet. And then there are a few things that are complete fantasy. Okay? So, okay, but we'll touch on all of this stuff as we go along, okay? So I want to just be clear about a couple things with this talk. First of all, it's not meant to be a technical talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's going on here, and that's my first point. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's going on. So I try to rotate it around every year. I can't talk about all the amazing things that people are doing, so I touch on a couple things near the end of the talk. And I also am going to talk about things that people have accomplished, awards and things, and I'm very happy for people to give me that stuff. Just send me an email. It's, say, hey, good news, this happened. I got this award, or this scholarship or whatever. And I try to do my best to log those things and catalog them so that I can share them with the department as appropriate. So, the other thing I was going to say too is that if you've been to this talk before, which you may have if you've been around here for a while, I do repeat a few things. I do that because there are new people here. And I want them to hear some of these things I think are important enough that they bear repeating and they bear making sure that everyone knows how I feel about them. So, of course, you may have already gone to the website. And this is now on our website, which is another one of the goals for this year is to continue remaking the website. We finally changed the cover picture and we're talking about celebrating 100 years of physics in this and astronomy in this department. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So I've had kind of the fun and the privilege of kind of looking at a little bit at the department's history. And I've kind of had some fun with it and kind of had some fun learning. I've learned from various people who have been here for a while. And this was the card that we sent out inviting people to join us for the various events that we're going to have this year in celebration of the 100th anniversary. And it's just that I sort of feel that these three individuals are particularly important to the history of this department. And for two reasons. These are the individuals that I feel, at least now I'm talking about past individuals. We have, of course, several amazing present individuals too. But in the past, these folks have distinguished themselves not just because they were great physicists, and they were, okay, but because they contributed something that built the department, that really did something for us, that really made a difference. And so you may see, thanks to Robin and the staff and some people who are working very hard, you'll see some displays start to appear in the lobby, and we'll tell some of this story. But let me just briefly say, so Paul Anderson was chair from 1931 to 1960, which I will definitely not be. I've made that joke before. But one thing, at the time that he came in, it was not completely common at universities such as this that faculty were expected to conduct independent research programs. But under Anderson, that changed. Under Anderson, he insisted that the department be built with faculty who would also conduct independent research. Okay, so that was a transformative change for the department. Band was a great theorist in his own right. There's this thing called the Frankel-Band theory of nucleation. You can look it up. Okay, but he's really also responsible for theoretical physics in this department. He's also, in large measure, responsible for this building that we're standing in. Now, other people were as well, but he played a major role in bringing this building about at a time when, we needed a new facility. Now, I understand we need one now, again, but at the time, this was something we needed, and something state-of-the-art, and something that Band was very involved in getting for us. And of course, George Duval was really a pioneer in shock physics. Now we have Professor Gupta and the Institute for Shock Physics, and it's a world-renowned facility. The academic home for shock is here at Washington State University. And it's here, at least in no small measure, due to the efforts of George Duval. So you'll hear a lot about these three as we go on. We have various events, and people are going to give some historical talks throughout the year. And I just thought I'd share that with you because those are things that I've just learned in the last year, sort of thinking about what this should look like. So here's a few things that I do every year. I talk about our vision and our mission and our values. So I had to laugh at myself at this red line. We seek to become a 21st century Department of Physics and Astronomy. I sort of don't like overly dramatic statements of things. And I just sort of looked at that because I put it up there last year in all seriousness, and I thought to myself, but this is the 21st century. So we already are a 21st century Department of Physics and Astronomy. So if you'll excuse the sort of the overreach in the statement, we're grounded in the fundamental instruction and inquiry that is essential to a core scientific discipline. That's physics. Inquiry and instruction. Okay? And thus to the land-grant mission. We're looking ever outward to our community of stakeholders, everybody. Our students, our friends in the community, our collaborators, our donors, the people that help make us go, okay? To help us best provide the skills, knowledge, and ability for critical thinking that will enable our students to be productive members of society. Okay. The mission, slightly different. We want to be at the forefront of research strategically focused for our institution. We want graduate training that combines formal in-class instruction with a world-class research experience. We want innovative undergraduate education that includes involvement in the research experience. And of course, educational, professional, and community service on the part of all of us. And I didn't make this up. This comes from our strategic plan back in 2009, and I don't think that it really needs to be changed. I think the ideas here and the way this is expressed is still very good. Now values. So these are going to seem a little bit off the cuff or a little bit, light, but I have something behind all of them, okay? Students come first. Students come first. Here's the message though. We're all students and we all have students, okay? Students come first. I'm accountable to all of our students. Our faculty are accountable to our students, but our graduate students are accountable to those they teach in the classroom as TAs. Our undergraduates are accountable to those they tutor. This is a learning community. We're all students, we all teach, okay? And our students come first. In many ways, you can argue that our students are our product, okay? As much as research is our product and the way that we publish papers, our students, the people who go out into the world and say, hey, I got my degree at WSU and I learned this and I can do that, okay? So, students come first, number one. Always say hello to the custodian. What do I mean by that? We're all part of the same team, okay? All of us, faculty, staff, students, everybody who's in this building, you're all working on a common mission. We're all together trying to do the same thing. We're trying to teach, we're trying to discover knowledge about the world, okay? We're doing the same thing and everybody deserves respect. Everybody has a critical role, You can ask yourself as you look around all the people that do different jobs in this department and how without them we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Finally, take the stairs. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. Go out and exercise a little bit. Be part of the community. Don't lock yourself up in here and be completely myopic, okay? So be a part of the community, not apart from the community. So those are my values, okay? And those are what I espouse and what I like to see come through in the department, okay? So let's take a look at our numbers, where we're at, how things have changed. We still have 15 full-time tenure-track faculty. That does not include the one faculty member we have on leave, Sukant Bose, who's in India, one who's in phased retirement, that's Kelvin Lin, and one university administrator, our VP for Research, Chris Keene, is his tenure home is here in physics and astronomy. We do have 2 full-time and 1 2/3 time teaching faculty, people who, again, you know, look at the roles. These are people who do absolutely critical work for us. They take on a lion's share of the teaching load compared to those of the faculty who are running research programs, and that's vitally important to what we do. We have 3 affiliate faculty, and they're located in shock physics and also in the, I keep calling it APL. Is it ASL? Applied Sciences Lab. I'm sorry about that. I keep wanting to put physics in things, but that is really called the Applied Sciences Laboratory up in Spokane. We have 6 full-time administrative and technical staff, and I'll get to them in a moment, and 5 postdocs, 53 graduate students now. Is that right? Can it not? It's got to be more, because we just brought in, that's got to be last year's slide. Yeah, okay, so sorry about that. That didn't get updated, but it's got to be, so it's got to be over 60 now. 63, okay, all right. And we have 36 undergraduate majors. Now, that's up from 34 a year ago, and 34 a year ago was up from 28 the year before. And we have currently a total of 101 students that are either majors or have expressed interest, predominantly through the new 188, 189 sequence that we're running, the freshman seminar sequence, okay? So they've either expressed interest in orientation, or they've expressed interest by attending the course. We would like to get as many of these students, of course, involved in the major as possible. There we go. So just to remind you, we are a statewide institution, and although not to the degree that some departments are, we're also a statewide department, okay? We have I wanted to mention Jim Moreliak here in Pullman just because he's one of our affiliate faculty members, and I'm going to talk about the goal of expanding research opportunities in the department. And so, so he's included here, even though what I'm really talking about in the rest of this slide is all the stuff we have going on in the rest of the state. Okay? So up at the Applied Sciences Laboratory, Shigang Yu and Eric Neilers are the other 2 affiliate faculty members we have. And to the graduate students I say, these are people who are legitimate project advisors that you can look at and that you can pursue, and I'm hoping to add more. So is Cheatham Kapan, who is now a jointly appointed professor at WSU Tri-Cities and also at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, and works with Herman Cho on some NMR. We have, in Vancouver, we have teaching faculty, Jose Vasquez and George Newman, and that's about it, okay, for our formal. Now, what I'd like to see by the time I'm talking to you here again next year is I'd like to see us more linked with the LIGO facility in Hanford. We had a colloquium, great colloquium last year from Mike Landry, and I talked to Mike for a long time, and they have a lot of really, really cool experiments there. It's not just about the big interferometer. They have optics, they do magnetometry, they do all kinds of stuff. And so again, you know, we have 17 first-year graduate students, so we have to find research opportunities for all our graduate students, because you're all going to stay and you're all going to do well. So this is one of the things that we're trying to do. We're a big umbrella. This is physics and astronomy at WSU. It's not just this building. Look at our graduates from the past year. 6 PhD graduates, 2 master's graduates, and 11 bachelor's graduates, and that's a number that's going up too. And I didn't have time, I'm sorry, I normally like to indicate where everybody's going here, but we do have, some people that I know that were in my research group. Trevor Foote, who is our Anderson Prize winner this year, is at Cornell in graduate school, and Chimithri just started graduate school in Rochester. Again, I should take the time at some point to figure out where everybody's going, and we're doing that. I just didn't get enough done for this talk. Okay? Let me focus just for a minute on sorry. One other thing I wanted to mention, this is a little piece of good news that came from Steve Tomzovic. So one of our PhD graduates from last year, Jizu Lee, has won a Japan Society for the Promotion of Science, JSPS International Fellowship. These things are really hard to get. They're very prestigious, and he's working for Professor Akira Shudo at Tokyo Metropolitan University. He's a really good guy, and so this is a very prestigious fellowship and award for one of our recent graduates to have achieved. So here's trends in the undergraduate program. So I mentioned about talking about students with getting the bachelor's degree, and you can see we had a little bit of a dip here a while back, but we're starting to crawl back up. And my first year here was the year we had 6 graduate, and then we've gone to 10, 11, and we should get 16 for this year. And this is a projected number based on how many people are in the classes now and how that looks. So we'll have to see if that bears out. But I like the trend here. And again, I'm not interested in us, getting 300 majors. That would be crazy. But I think we can get to a size that's like 70 or 75 majors, be sustainable and have a lot of good students, and really have a positive impact on the department and our overall program. Offer more classes, this sort of thing. So there's a couple of reasons I think that our undergraduate program is thriving and improving. And one of them was this, I mentioned earlier, this sequence of 1-credit courses that was really kind of redeveloped and designed by Michael Allen. And the emphasis is on integration with the department. I talk about membership, we're all part of the same team, meeting the faculty, not just having a parade of faculty come in front of our undergraduates and say, this is the research that I do, but actually indicating to them what role they can have in research, what role they can play, where they fit in, okay? And so we had over 30 students enrolled in 188, that's the fall semester, both last year and this year. And I think this bodes well for the number of majors we're going to get. We had 21 students last year, in the spring rather, enrolled in the second semester. And one of the things that we do that I want to advertise now, I hope we didn't buy ice cream only for the faculty. All right? I mean, I don't think, if you want to come and have a little ice cream, I don't think anybody's going to, say anything. But the idea was that we wanted our undergraduate students to meet our faculty. All right? And so there's an ice cream social on August 27th. At 4:10, that's part of this, that's a regular meeting time for the course. And I dare say that, if you don't happen to be a faculty member and you want to come in for a little ice cream, I'm sure if you're willing to talk to some undergraduates about all the cool stuff you do, that'll be more than acceptable. Okay. The other end that, it's kind of funny, that's the input end, and now we're looking closer to the output end, how we get students out with the degree. And I just want to give a shout out to Tom Dickinson, who sort of shepherded the senior thesis course, the 499 course, for many years. When he retired, I had to find somebody to take it over, and Steve Tomzovic was kind enough to say that he would do it. And not only has he done it, but I think he's done it very, very well and made improvements in the course. One of the big improvements was the undergraduate research poster session. Again, another opportunity for all of us to get together, to take a look and give some feedback to our undergraduates about the research they're doing. We had this last year in late November. I thought it was great. Graduate students came, faculty came, and we want to keep this up. We want to keep going, okay? All right, so first year, this is, you may have already noticed, looking around at the number of bodies in the building, that this is a incoming graduate class that's slightly bigger than last year's. So if you don't know, last year we had 3 for various reasons, mostly bad luck. This year we have 17. And I just want to stop and remind everybody that, you know, people come to graduate school because they feel a calling to doing science, right? I mean, maybe all of you who came here this fall could have gone into industry or could have gotten jobs in other places and made more money, certainly more money than you're going to make in your stipend here, all right? But you love the process of doing science, and that's why you're here. And I just want us to acknowledge that. Would the first year students please stand and be recognized? And we can welcome them to the department. Thank all of you. So you'll notice too that there's an interesting absence of international students from countries other than the United States in the incoming class. I will leave it to you to ponder why that might be. I'm not particularly pleased with that, although I'm very happy that we have this particular class of students. It just so happens that most of them come from the United States. You'll notice that they actually come from all over the United States. We have students from Virginia, a student came from Georgia Tech, Florida, okay? So it's quite a variety of students, and I'm looking forward to having them integrate into the department, find research groups, and do productive and cool things. So we have 5 postdoctoral fellows in the department. So these four were with us last year, and we just got a 5th. And I told her before I was going to embarrass her. And I'm going to embarrass Maren. So Maren finished her PhD this year in the Engels group. She won the 2019 CAS Award for Doctoral Achievement in the Sciences. Okay, this is going to be a theme. We won some good awards, up and down, students, faculty, staff. Okay, and I just want to point out, I guess I don't know what to call this exactly. Maybe it's like hitting for the cycle, okay? That Maren has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD, and now she's doing a postdoc all at Washington State University. So I just kind of want to give a shout out to Maren. That's something that I don't think you see too often. Yeah, the question marks you can interpret for what you will, but I just wanted to point out, I think Maren had a great year, and I just want to say congratulations. Let's see. So I could spend the rest of the hour talking about our staff. I won't just because of the time, but it's how I feel that it's about the only way that it could be justified, the things that they do for us and what they do behind the scenes that make things happen. I simply couldn't do this job without Robin Stratton. I just couldn't. She's sitting back there. It would be impossible. I want to mention, I mean, that's all I'm going to say, because otherwise I'll be here, going on and on about all the things she does. But let me just say that Tom Bush was the recipient of the 2019 College of Arts and Sciences Staff Achievement Award for Peer Mentoring, and it was very well deserved. And he's the guy who handles our grants. I want to point out that Robin and Tom together also handle all the financial stuff for tech services next door. Okay? So in addition to all the stuff they do for physics, they're doing that as well. Coretta Weaver is somebody who was with us before, and now she is back as an administrative assistant in the office. We have Tom Johnson, who I call the resident Websterologist, just because there's very few people that know as much about this building as Tom does, and it's really, really, really important. Tom entered what's called the Quarter Century Club at WSU last year, and I was privileged to go to the little luncheon that sort of celebrated that. And Laura Kruger, who handles all of your purchasing and travel for the department, is going to be in the Quarter Century Club this year. And I just wanted to stop and acknowledge that and congratulate Laura. Jacob Turner has a tough job. He's the director of the undergraduate laboratories. We hired him last year. He's in the process of not only getting used to the job and getting into it in a situation where we have more and more undergraduates taking our entry-level courses, but he's also trying to remake and reform the laboratory courses along the lines of an inquiry-based model. And so, again, I can't say enough great things about the staff that we have. You'll notice that's it. There's not 3 slides of staff, right? It's lean, and that means they all do an incredible job, and they all do a lot of different things behind the scenes for us in the department. So let me just say a couple things very quickly about where we are. So again, for those people who are new, how WSU is set up, there are these 11 large units. We're in the College of Arts and Sciences. And so we have, in the College of Arts and Sciences, it's big, it's broad, it's arts, it's sciences, it's everything in between, okay? And so 5 schools, 10 departments, 5 programs, 16 centers, institutes, and museums, 550 faculty members, okay? So this is kind of a big, broad institution that's kind of over physics and astronomy. It's run by our dean, Matt Jockers. And Matt, his style of leadership is very sort of delegatory, if that's a word. And so I interact quite a bit, not just with Matt, but with these associate deans who are all really good people and really instrumental in making sure that we follow all the rules we have to follow, and that we design our programs the right way, and that we're sort of staying on track. And so those are the people that I often talk to directly above me in the chain when we face issues, challenges, or things that we have to do as a department. So I want to remind you of a couple things. I'm going to keep this upbeat, but I do want to remind you that 2 years ago I stood up here and I talked about financial challenges. And what I said was that the biggest impact on us was going to be on the ability to conduct new faculty searches. And indeed, that was true. And it has taken us a while to get to the point where last year we did conduct a search. It was unfortunately not successful in the end, okay? But last year when I got up here, I talked about departmental priorities, and again, I put faculty hiring right at the top, and I think appropriately, although I would like to say I think we're doing pretty well on a lot of these other things, okay? So the good news for this year is we've got 2 searches. The bad news is we've got 2 searches, okay? So, we're a faculty that's not that big compared to a lot of places. And it's going to be a lot of work. And these are the committees, and it's a job for the whole department, faculty and students. And everybody who's here, you're free to talk to these committee members about people about people's talks that you saw, okay, who you knew were candidates for the job. But these are the folks on each side. We've got a theory search, it's sort of AMO quantum, that we conducted last year that we're going to run again this year. And then finally, after a long period of time, we're going to be able to hopefully add to the astronomy, astrophysics core in the department. And that's the goal of this committee. So like I said, that's really good news. But it is going to be a lot of work and a challenge for us and frankly, I'm just thinking, I don't know how many restaurant meals I can do. But, so be it. The one thing I learned before I ever became chair from anybody else who was ever chair before me was that you never turn down the opportunity to search. You don't, because it's precious and you never know when it's going to come around again, and you have to take full advantage of it and try to get the best people that you possibly can, and that's what we're going to do. So here's something else we're going to do this year that I'm really excited about. We're going to host the Conference for Undergraduate Women in Physics. This is the local organizing committee. We have undergraduates, graduate students, faculty. We have people from outside the department. Anya, who many of you may remember, was a graduate student in this department and now works for Schweitzer, is going to help us out with this. This is a conference that it's been growing and now attracts 150 to 200 students, undergraduates, at every one of the sites, and there's 13 sites across the country. Okay, so my friend Pearl Sandick at the University of Utah called me and suggested that we do this, and I said, do we have to do it in January? Because the sun, there's no sun. That's what I said. And she said, well, they do all of them at the same time. And there's a keynote speaker that gets broadcast to all the conferences. And so it's this kind of really great community thing. It all happens on the same weekend. We're getting word now, we think that we're going to be at 200 or more even, right? I mean, the conferences just keep growing in popularity. And they're great opportunity for support and for networking and tools for success for women in our discipline. Opportunity to increase awareness of the issues that they face. And of course, we have all these undergraduates who are really top students coming to our department. It showcases the department. This is an opportunity for us, for students that may be headed for graduate school, to attract them here, to show them who we are and what we're about. Okay, and I'll just acknowledge Maren yet again. She designed the logo. Faculty highlights. So I want to, I'm going to go over a few things that have happened. And again, I just want to throw the caveat out there that I miss stuff. Okay, I try to get as much as I can. I may miss stuff. If I do, please let me know about it. But the things that I do know about, I want to congratulate Gary Collins. Right here. It's a very well-deserved career faculty award from the College of Arts and Sciences. I told you we did quite well at those last year. I'm very proud of that. It's for outstanding achievement across his long career. Yi Gu, I don't know if Yi's here. Is he here? There he is. He was promoted to full professor this year. Which is great. There's no more promotions after this, so you don't have to I want to congratulate Susan Dexheimer. She was elected to the executive committee of the Division of Laser Science at APS. And, these things are valuable. Sometimes, you say, well, what's that about? Well, what it's about is, it's about, the APS sponsors conferences and symposia. They set agendas for what's going to happen in the discipline that has all the things that have to do with laser science. And this is something that, this is peer elected. So Susan's peers elected her to this position, and it's an important leadership role in that division. And finally, I want to acknowledge Calvin Lin, who was elected senior member, interesting designation, of the IEEE. And what I can tell you about senior member is that fewer than 10% of the rather huge membership of IEEE are in that category. And so it represents, again, a long career of distinguished accomplishment for Calvin. He's to be congratulated. Oh, no, that wasn't last. One more. Matt McCluskey, I want to acknowledge his work being the chair of the International Conference on Defects in Semiconductors. That conference just happened a couple weeks ago, and I've talked to Matt about it. It was an incredibly successful conference, and I think it's also an indication of Matt's stature in the field that he was asked to chair this international conference once every 3 years, is it? 2 years, once every 2 years. Okay. So that's some of the faculty highlights from last year. New grants. So in the year since I last spoke to you, there have been $2 million generated in new grants by our faculty, which I think is awesome. And here's the list. And again, what I want to say is, I'm showing you a list of certain people that happen to get grants this last year. But there are others applying for grants now and others who got them last year. So, we are doing pretty well in terms of our research dollars and supporting, and this is one of the main ways that we support our students. Okay? So congratulations to these folks and to our program for continuing to grow. Oh, I wanted to mention that one of the things that we're doing, and Brian Collins is leading, is he's going to be submitting a proposal for research experience for undergraduates. Another great addition to sort of our undergraduate program, another great way to showcase the department for our graduate program. And I'm just urging faculty, I know many of us have been working with Brian already, and I just want to thank Brian because it's a tireless task to put all that together, especially, it's hard enough when you got to write a grant and it's just you. But you got to write a grant and it involves all these other people, all these other faculty members, no less. Good grief. All right. So just thank you, Brian. It's greatly appreciated. And that was one of my aspirational things that REU students descend on the department, and I'm hoping to see that in a year. So let me just talk. I've got just a couple more slides. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing pretty good. So I've just got a couple more slides, and again, the caveat, which is that I asked people to send me stuff. A couple of people sent me stuff. I'll just give you a little hint of what's going on. Especially you first-year graduate students, you're going to want to spend a lot of time talking to everybody, going to group meetings and learning about stuff. But one of YIGU's new grants is in this NSF Advanced Manufacturing Program. And this is a grant that he just got, a 3-year grant. And the point of this is, I won't go through all of it. I could, but I won't. No, I couldn't. It's not quite my field. But I do want to say that what this does is it shows a new way to pattern PN junctions and related devices. So we're talking about things that go into diodes and transistors and digital circuits on any 2D materials. So that's the significance of this. These junctions can also be moved around on the substrates and erased and then repatterned. Okay? So the circuits are reconfigurable. So this is really cool, and this is very, very applicable. And it was work. Oh, by the way, John Igo is one of the graduate students that just finished up his PhD, and he did some of the preliminary work and data taking on this project. Okay. I heard a little bit from Mark Kuzyk about his group doing this big sort of theoretical and experimental study of photomechanical materials. And this was an invited paper in the Journal of the Optical Society of America, and it describes the first quantitative theories of the photomechanical response of materials, as well as an apparatus for doing accurate measurement. And those of you who know Mark know that he is one of these people who really does straddle the boundary between theory and experiment in what can be a very exciting way, I think, for students. And then I want to also mention this, okay? So this, again, is something that Michael Allen has worked on. And a couple summers ago, Michael came to me and we talked about him doing some work over the summer, visiting or doing like a symposium or, yeah. And basically the idea was to encourage the use of actual telescopes and actual telescope time for students. And now this is called the Skynet Robotic Telescope Network, okay? And it's very important to understand that this is a new teaching initiative, so it can be used in a variety of classes. It's available to both majors and non-majors. It eliminates the drudgery of data reduction and has them focus on the practice of doing science. And it's important to understand this is a simulation. So students are actually controlling real telescopes and taking real data. And so this is something I think is really great and really exciting for our instruction in the department and for our undergraduates. Okay, so let me talk just at the end here a little bit about some of the things that are going to happen as we celebrate 100 years. And we bring back the Distinguished Colloquium Series for its 3rd year. I'm really excited about that. And it's geared to the 100th anniversary. So we will highlight, so this is, by the way, for people, again, for new people, this is a weekly colloquium that it still happens. The weekly colloquium still happens on Thursdays at 4:10. We pick a few of the talks a year, and we mark them as distinguished colloquia, which I'm always hesitant to do because then I worry that everybody else thinks their colloquium is undistinguished, and I don't mean that. Okay? What I do mean is that we try to get people we know are going to be good and dynamic speakers. We add some social events. We add some opportunities for students, lunches and things like that, to actually meet and interact with these speakers. Okay? And this is due, the reason we're able to do this is in part due to financial support from donors and friends of the department who want to see this happen. And I think it's gone well. And this coming academic year, we're going to hear from a few of our own in honor of the 100th anniversary. So in addition to Dave Wineland, who's coming in April from the University of Oregon, we'll hear from Tom Dickinson, who's recently retired a couple years ago from this faculty after a distinguished nearly 50-year career. Yogi Gupta, of course, who's the director at ISP, and Phil Marston, who's sitting right here, has also agreed to regale us with stories of the history of the department in the last several decades. So we'll look forward to that. And that's the first one. The kickoff event is in 2 weeks. And Tom is going to be giving the talk in this room. And it's going to be followed by a dedication of the undergraduate study on the 12th floor to Tom, which I'm really happy about too. So we're not going to crowd everybody up there on the 12th floor. We'll give people an opportunity to kind of go through. We've got some of Tom's memorabilia and pictures and things like that. But we're really pleased with the facility that we've provided for our undergraduate students, and I'm especially pleased to be able to dedicate it to Tom's legacy here. So for reasons that are known only to me and perhaps to my wife, we host this big party every year. Okay? Actually, we host 2 big parties every year. This is the summer one. It's a little bit late this year, but you know, there were things going on. But everyone, friends, relatives, dogs, cats, is invited to our house, which is a bit far away. It's about a 35-minute drive from here. It's out in rural Idaho, but it's a great place. And it'll be on Saturday, September 7th, and you're all heartily and especially invited. We have food, drink, we'll have everything. Just bring yourselves and your friends and good cheer, and we'll kind of kick off the start of the academic year. I want to take a moment and just acknowledge the passing of George Lake. George Lake was a faculty member here from 2003 to 2005. He was, in fact, the William Band Professor of Theoretical Physics here. He was the most recent Band Professor, if I'm right. Yeah. And he was most recently at the ETH in Zurich, and he was very well known for computational astrophysics, and then sort of branched out into computational biophysics. And so, in fact, he was until the time of his death the director of the Computational Institute. There's an Institute for Computational Physics at the ETH in Zurich. Okay. So that's it. I will thank you for your attention, and I will just remind you, I showed this slide last year, okay? I am values driven. I'm big into values, okay? It's a thing when somebody says you got to make a tough decision, you say, what are my values, okay? I expect to hold you accountable, okay? But I especially expect you to hold me accountable, that we act and live and do things as a department that are reflective of our values as a department. I believe that the job of any leader is to serve the community that they are leading. I take this service very seriously. I love my job. I'm glad I'm here, you know, challenges and all. But I take that very seriously. My job is to help move each of you forward in the best way I possibly can. And finally, feedback is always welcome. You cannot offend me. I need to know, okay? And I have an office hour from Wednesdays 3 to 4 p.m. That's when I've decided it's going to be this semester. It's for students only, okay? So faculty and others have access to me in other ways, but I like to set aside that hour per week that's just for students, graduate students or undergraduate students, to come talk to me about anything you want. There will be a graduate student town hall. I don't think we've scheduled it yet, so it's to be determined. We try to have one of those per semester. And, you know, you can always email me, okay? So, again, I thank you for taking the time. It's nice to see all of you. It's nice to see all the new faces that we have. And I wish you a great semester and a great academic year. And thank you for your attention.